Mineko's Night Market is the latest in a long line of life sim games that are becoming quite popular as a genre these days. These are games that focus on the player spending time in a relaxing, non-threatening environment where there is little or no violence, and the gameplay loop is intentionally kept simple enough to play at the end of a long day without much thought. After the success of Stardew Valley in 2016, we have seen quite a few such games, but Mineko's Night Market does add a few twists to the formula, some of which are quite welcome and some which slow down the experience quite a bit. The game starts off in the usual fashion, with the main character moving to a village seeking a new life. But the first big twist is that the main character isn't some adult who is bored of the city life. Instead, you play as a young girl called Mineko, who has been brought to the village against her wishes by her father. The story is split into two tracks. The first deals with the legendary giant cats called Nico. You accidentally discover one of them, and it is then your mission to help it travel back to the top of a mountain, which is its home. Along the way, you will need to deal with a mysterious secret service whose agents are locking up cats of all sizes while searching for Nico. How you help Nico reach the top of the mountain forms the basis of the main story. The second story is that of the night market, which takes place every week on Saturday nights. The night market is held in an abandoned railway station, and it has been declining in popularity over the years. For some reason, it is your job to bring it back to its former glory, and you do this by setting up your own stall at the night market and filling it with items to sell each week. As you keep selling more items, the market will start attracting more visitors and vendors. I never really got to the end of this storyline because after finishing the main story, there is little incentive to keep building the night market. This is where the small team at Meowza Games has brought in some interesting changes to the life sim formula. The game has zero violence, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any action-filled moments. If the name of the studio and the cover of the game haven't made you guess already, this game loves cats. The game is full of them. Each location that you discover initially is blocked by agents who have imprisoned cats in that area, and you need to free them without getting caught. You get 3 chances to do this, failing which you have to start over. Once you rescue all the cats, the agents leave the place and you are free to use that location to farm for resources. The energy system, which is a common feature of the life sim formula, is quite annoying in the beginning when you don't have a lot of resources to replenish it. So you can only do a little bit of work each day before you run out of energy, although for some strange reason you can still run around at full speed despite having no energy. Gradually, you gain more energy per day and also get more money to buy food that will restore your energy 3 times per day. But until you hit that point in the game, it can be very difficult to keep up with the slow progress. If you're not working on progressing the main story, your routine in the game looks like this. Each week, you work throughout the day collecting resources and crafting various items to sell in your stall. Every Saturday, you go to the night market, sell your items, participate in one of 4 mini games at the market, then go home, sleep, and repeat the entire routine next week. It's a simple enough loop that will keep fans of this genre happy, but for others like me who are only playing the game out of curiosity, it can be a bit difficult to get used to this gameplay loop. Also, the main story is quite short, and I was able to reach the end in around 10 hours in the 3rd month of the in-game calendar. After this, I had no reason to keep grinding for resources or collect more money at the market, so I simply began to skip each day until the next market just so that I could see if the game had anything new to offer in the next season. It really did not. There are 4 seasons in the game, each lasting 4 in-game weeks, and apart from the visual changes and the items that you can farm for in each season, there isn't much of a difference in how the night market functions. As you level up the night market, more stalls open up and you get a chance to play more mini games. For those who like collecting everything in a game, there are enough items to keep you busy. Resources can be found by interacting with more mini games. You can go fishing, chop 2 different kinds of wood, find clay with a metal detector, and so on. Once you have found these, you can use your crafting station to create unique products to sell at the market. Crafting also has its own set of mini games which can test your hand-eye coordination a bit. While there's nothing revolutionary here, there's just enough variety to keep things interesting, and soon enough you'll settle into a satisfying rhythm of farming for resources, crafting, selling at the market, and repeating it next week. The constant loading screens are a bit annoying, and I have heard that the Switch version has a few performance issues as well, but for the most part the game runs quite well and the dialogue keeps things interesting. Perhaps the one thing that was disappointing was that there are a few points in the game where you will get stuck and there is no clear indication of how to proceed unless you look for a solution online. This is common in modern gaming, but from a game design perspective, it would be nice if the player always had a clue on how to progress in the game by using information found in the game itself. First off, let me say that while I have nothing against games that feature pixel art, after seeing dozens of games using that art style, it is such a relief to see something different in this genre. The cartoony style that Mineko's Night Market uses is charming and is definitely a huge selling point for the game. It is a bit odd to see all the NPCs standing still all the time in the village instead of moving around naturally, but I guess it was a limitation due to the small size of the developer team, which has only 2 people if I'm not mistaken. The few cutscenes that the game has do a good job in conveying the story in an emotional way, and once again, I was glad to take a break from pixel art where it can be hard to see what's happening. For a game that doesn't feature any voice-acted dialogues, the sound and music are really important ingredients in selling the experience. Thankfully, they do not disappoint here. The game has a simple yet effective soundtrack that doesn't get boring when it runs on a loop as you go through your routine every day. Nico the cat has its own theme, which is quite soothing. I'll have to admit that I am in 2 minds regarding this game. I did like the overall experience, even though the cat-focused theme got a bit too heavy at times. I also like the simplicity of the inventory system and the fact that the game doesn't ask you to play multiple in-game years before you get a chance to finish all the collections. You can easily finish the entire game in less than 20 hours. But it can be a bit slow in the beginning, and I'm not sure how many players would be able to get through that initial speed breaker to discover a far smoother experience later down the road. For those willing to stick to the grind, there is a lot to like in this charming title.